How do you guys know what time this guy comes out?
Well, what happens is we do intelligence surveillance and try to get as much intel as possible before we try to effectuate an arrest. So D.O. Slattery has already mentioned that she's seen him come out at about 8:15, so she's probably dictated that on several occasions just based off surveillance and watching him come in and out of his house or apartment.
Is it like something that he's going to work?
Well, it's presumed that he's going to work. We don't actually know if he's going to work or not. It's a presumption based on the time of day. So 8:15 would normally, tell us that he's going to work,
right?
Rather than anywhere else.
He's it's something from his own country, correct?
Yeah. So this gentleman is from Peru. We have a thing called criminal history information sharing between countries, or CHIS is what we call it. Basically, we found out information that he has an Interpol red notice for aggravated robbery in his own country. And what we try to do is attempt to effectuate arrests and remove him to that country, even though he has still due process. So he still has to go through court proceedings, DOIR, go through the IJ, get a removal order, and then he still has the ability to appeal those processes. But at the end of the day, if he gets order removed, we will remove him to his country of origin to face the crimes that he allegedly committed in that country.
How long will the person stay in custody when you guys capture them?
So custody is a tricky topic. Sometimes it really depends on how long proceedings takes, mainly because they have appeals processes. As of right now, everyone's mandatory detention, so immigration judges are trying to get through their cases as quick as possible without violating any processes. Typically, it's really case by case because each case is different. So there's no really time frame of how long or how short a person's case will last while they're in detention. This gentleman's around 42 years old. He was encountered at or near the port of entry, border. He wasn't admitted or inspected or paroled, hence the reason why he's illegally here in the United States. The United States Border Patrol did arrest him and apprehend him and processed him for a notice to appear. And then while in custody, because he was transferred to the custody of immigration, he was able and afforded a bond by the immigration judge, which he did pay. So that's the reason why he's not in detention right now. After further checks and further investigation, we determined that he had an Interpol red notice. And based on those factors, we are going to effectuate arrest and do a custody determination on his case for the fact that he has a foreign warrant for aggravated robbery in the country of Peru. So once he is arrested, we process custody determination. He'll go to either the Delaney Hall Detention Facility or Elizabeth Contract Detention Facility, and then go through his due process while in the custody of Immigration Customs Enforcement.
So how long have you guys been either looking for this guy or surveilling him?
I would say that, to be quite honest, I'm not sure how long we've been looking for him. I can tell you that typically what happens is the government of Peru provides us the Interpol red notice. We also have to verify that it's still active, because sometimes the Interpol red notices are sent but not active. They're not active warrants, and therefore we probably wouldn't take any action. As far as doing surveillance on him, I would have a hard guess that this has been going on for about 2 or 3 weeks now, just to ensure we have an idea of what his posture is and what time he actually leaves on a daily basis. So this isn't like we saw him yesterday, we know he leaves at 8:15, and now we're going to go out there at 8:15 today. This is a long, steady process to determine what his movements are on a daily basis. So typically surveillance lasts about 2 to 3 weeks to get a really good idea of when he's coming and going from his residence.
And this is something that came from the actual government of Peru, correct?
Yeah, so we have ICE attaches in different countries. They provide it, or we can check our own databases And sometimes those databases offer us intelligence in regards to Interpol red notices. I believe that was the case for this particular case. We did our checks, found out that he had an Interpol red notice. We reached out to the ICE attaché that covers the country of Peru and determined that the Interpol red notice was still active. And so because it's active, this is why we're going out today to effectuate arrest on this particular.
That's awesome. 29 years.
If you count my military, it's almost 33 years.
Seasoned.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably never a boring day for the most part.
No, every day is different. Every day is different. Every day has different challenges that we all face. And to be quite honest with you, the employees of ICE, ERO specifically, are up to that challenge. Every single day you heard me talk about how they're subject matter experts in this field. They have full confidence in their abilities to do what they do every single day.
So if somebody wanted to get hired, what would be their process?
It's kind of twofold, really. The easiest process, obviously, is to go onto USA Jobs and type in an 1801 series and look for a deportation officer position and simply apply. Once you apply, say you know Art Wilson, and you want to forward your resume to Art Wilson to have the field office director take a review of your resume, they could simply do a direct hire as long as they're on the certificate of eligibility. If they're on the certificate of eligibility and the field office director wants to do a direct hire, the process is much faster than going through the normal process of waiting to go through the other process of being selected via our HR department. So it's not that hard. You just have to apply. To be quite simple. Good.
Looking for a new career path?
Possibly.
They've also waived the age limit too. So used to be you have to be under 37. I think now it's there's announcements for over 40 years old now. So typically after you apply and you qualify, you are selected for a particular field office. Once you get to that field office, in the past we would do a physical fitness abilities test to determine where you're at. So the policy has kind of changed somewhat. You used to have to do 22 push-ups, a mile and a half run, and a 200-yard dash in so many minutes. Well, the 20-yard dash had to be within 50-something seconds. The mile and a half run had to be 14 minutes, 25 seconds. And you had to do 22 push-ups within a minute. Once you passed all that, or you're close to passing that, you'll be going to Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, and then you'd have to do it again to make sure that you pass their requirements. The academy is 42 days currently, so it's very quick, fast, in a hurry. Typically have 2 tests a day. And then if you hypothetically do not pass say the first naturalization chart test is kind of a difficult test to accomplish. If you fail that test, you get one more try. And if you fail again, then you're sent back to the field office, and then the field office determines whether or not they want, in the past, to recycle you or terminate or offer you resignation. So it's, immigration law is pretty difficult. You have to have the right mindset and understand that when you go to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, that you're there for that. You're not there to have festivities and those types of things. Knuckle down, study, and at the end of the day, if this is what you want to do as your career, then you're going to just have to kind of, what I always say, chew that dirt so you can be a law enforcement officer, because that's what it's going to take to be in this career, on this career path. You're going to be in some difficult situations. You have to have thick skin. We're called all kinds of names. I'm sure you've heard. So if you don't have that type of attitude, that type of thick skin, it will be very difficult for you to be in this career. So anyone that wants to apply for this job, I encourage you to do so. But seen leaving around the same time, but I don't believe, based on the conversation this morning, that he leaves at the same time every single day. So there's some dynamics there. He was convicted of a sex crime, a suspended sentence, and is on lifetime probation. So therefore, he never went to jail. We have a tracker for lawful permanent. We have a track for lawful permanent residents that we kind of go in a deep dive once they've been charged of a crime to determine whether or not they're amenable to removal. And based on those checks, we determine that this particular lawful permanent resident is amenable to removal. I don't suspect that he leaves at the same time every single day, so they just wanted to mention that that may happen. My hope is that we get this guy at 8:15 and then go to the other target and wait for him to come out, hopefully at a later time. So we don't know it definitively that they leave at the same time every single day. The street, because it's a dead end, obviously the officers advise that there's very little parking. So what we have is someone that's sitting there, what we call as an eyeball, that's watching the apartment, watching him come out, determine which car he gets into. Obviously the DO wants to effectuate the arrest, before he leaves, because it's a lot more safer that way than doing a vehicle stop. When you do a vehicle stop, there's other dynamics that you have to consider. Him fleeing, those types of things. People tend to ram our vehicles, try to hit our officers. So in order to prevent that, the DO is requesting that we effectuate the arrest while he's getting inside his vehicle.
This is like the worst place that he could possibly be, for his own sake, anyway.
This isn't unusual for us.
I mean the dead end street.
Target's vehicle that he drives on a daily basis is parked and on site in front of his residence. So it's really just a matter of time of sitting and waiting until he comes out to depart for work or wherever he's going in the morning.
And how many other agent vehicles are staged up around here, would you say?
Probably 4 or 5 at this juncture. Officer safety is paramount. So we typically don't do arrests like we did in the past. We typically, based on the operational tempo we're facing now, just have at minimum 4 officers per team to effectuate an arrest. Yeah, so we do have a I-200 warrant of deportation. No, what is it called again? We do have a warrant, an I-200, that's typically signed by the SDDO or the AFOD on hand. Or sometimes we do it when we get to the office, but we do serve him a custody determination and the warrant, so he's aware of what's going on.
So these people that are calling for judicial warrants, I guess, in order for you guys to be able to apprehend somebody like a child predator or such, that sounds, well, like that would be, it would just totally kneecap you guys, right?
Yeah, so we have like a judicial warrant from the court. Yes, I mean that would be very difficult to obtain. A judicial warrant from, let's say, a local or county or state. We typically use our own warrants. It could be an I-200 or an I-205, which is a form that for those that have come in illegally have been already removed. So those 2 forms for us administratively will work when we are effectuating arrests out in the street. Judicial warrants are very difficult to obtain and typically won't be issued, so we use our own types of warrants that have been in service for as long as I've been in.
When did they start making you guys use body cams? Well, did that start in Chicago?
Body cams were, I'm not sure when it started. It's been a policy already. Each field office is afforded body cams or issued body worn cameras. like right now, we have 240 body-worn cameras that we're issuing currently to our staff. I would tell you body-worn cameras is a very good thing for us, because it records, what really happens out in the field. Just like the gentleman you talked about that the FBI arrested, without the body-worn camera footage, that would be very hard to, say that he did something without that type of footage. So it helps our officers, protects our officers, and also protects the public. So it's a very good thing for the government.
How early or how soon do you guys stage? Like you mentioned, this guy comes out roughly around 8 o'clock. So it's like a 2-hour staging before.
So staging can vary. So just to put into context, just because we know he comes out at 8:15, we've seen him come out at 8:15 on several occasions. For us, it doesn't mean that he's going to come out at 8:15 today. So he can come out at 6:30, right? It just really depends. So we try to get here, in a decent amount of time before the intelligence that we receive saying that he's going to come out at 8:15. We come early enough just to have a buffer, so to speak, because he can come out anytime between 6 a.m. and 8:15. And in fact, he can come out after 8:15. So sometimes it is a lot of sitting and waiting, which is typical for our line of business. But we don't know definitively, in fact, that he'll come out today at 8:15. He may come out at, again, 6:30, 7 o'clock. And so we want to stage fairly early enough to ensure that we get the best opportunity to arrest this criminal.
A girlfriend that is also illegal, but doesn't necessarily have heinous charges.
So we follow 3 simple rules: national security threats, public safety threats, and immigration violators. So she would fall under that bucket of an immigration violator. So anybody that's here legally in the United States that can be arrested. Now there are some caveats to that. Say she's has a one-year-old or 2-month-old inside the house and she's the only caregiver, then we would make a determination at that time. But every single person that's with somebody we're targeting that is illegal here in the United States, we will arrest, depending on circumstances. And circumstances have to be so high that we'd normally give them what we call a G56, a call-in letter, to come to the field office to be processed without having to be arrested at that time. But typically, I would say 98% of the time, if you're collateral with somebody that's we're targeting, you will be arrested and processed and placed into detention.
They would have any inkling that a vehicle was ICE, or if you guys were watching somebody, waiting for somebody, they would send out a bunch of people with whistles to make noise and try to I guess spook the individual who would otherwise be arrested. Have you guys had that problem here at all?
I don't think we've had people running around with whistles, those types of things. What we do typically find is if someone sees one of our vehicles, they typically follow them and try to disrupt operations. They'll do that, but as far as walking down the street seeing us blowing whistles like in some other states, I don't think we've witnessed that here.
Gotcha.
Not that I've been informed of. It's more of I'm going to follow you around, so I can tell everyone via that, that method that you're an ICE officer. So yeah, our operations have never really died down. Once the administration changed, we got our orders to essentially effectuate arrest every single day, be out there every single day, making as many arrests as possible. And I think we've done a very good job of that. Even though it's been essentially a year and a half, the tempo hasn't changed. The priorities are still the same, and we're still, going out every day, making arrests. For this particular field office, we typically arrest on a daily basis anywhere from 30 to 40 a day, and have made as much arrest as 70, 80 in one day. So it just depends really on the day, how well you will do. Any arrest is a good day as far as I'm concerned, but the tempo's never changed. We're still, even though we're tired, we work long hours. I believe in this field office and field officers around the nation believe in the mission, and they'll continue to go out there and make as many arrests as they could possibly make to make the United States a better place to be.
During the last administration, were you still seeing numbers around 40 a day?
Last administration, to be quite honest, and to be very straightforward, our hands are pretty tied. Last administration, there were certain things we could and could not do, and the priorities were different. So we didn't make as many arrests. We didn't have as many people in detention. So no, I would say that the operational tempo in the last administration was far different than what we're doing now.
That had to be demoralizing a little bit.
It is, and to be quite honest with you, officers felt like they couldn't do their jobs, right? So their jobs are to be out here protecting the public, and to not be allowed to do that, could be detrimental to an officer's morale. Especially when they know that someone's here illegally or someone's done a specific crime and they can't effectuate arrest. That in some officers' eyes, that's kind of a problem. So yeah, they had a hard time swallowing that pill, so to speak, because there are certain things they could and could not do versus what we can do now, which is arrest anybody that's immigration violator, national security threat, or public safety threat. So I believe the officers are far happier now than they have ever been since we started this, based on the last administration.
What were some of the priority differences?
Well, now it's national security threats, public safety threats, immigration violators. The last administration was somewhat similar, but immigration violators, if someone didn't have say someone was an alien in the United States that had no criminal history, basically we wouldn't arrest those individuals. They had to have a crime or charged with a crime before we could effectuate arrest. Those obviously has changed now. So anybody in the country illegally, regardless of criminality, is amenable to removal and can be arrested. Those are the differences.
So when you say the tempo has changed, are you, or hasn't changed actually? So you said the tempo hasn't changed since, I guess, you guys aren't in the media as much anymore. Riots across the country sort of dropped for the time being. It's also, we're getting close to summertime, and that's when they'll do like Summer of Love 2.0. Are you saying that there hasn't been a drop in apprehensions over the course of, like, say, 6 months?
I'm not saying there hasn't been a drop in apprehensions. I think it's an ebb and flow. Apprehensions go up and down all the time. So it's not about apprehensions. It's about the operational tempo hasn't changed in regards to what we're doing out in the field every single day.
Gotcha.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because arrest, there's days you're gonna have good days and bad days when making arrest. It's all about, doing surveillance. Like, for instance, today, if this guy doesn't come out at 8:15, he may come out at 9:15.
Right.
He may not come out at all. Yep. Right. So that's what I mean by operational tempo. We're still out here every single day, doing what we're supposed to do in regards to those 3 buckets that I've already explained, and continue to make arrests.
So all of this, the falsities that are being lobbed at you, all the names, it's not slowing you down.
Oh, absolutely not. And I don't want to make it personal, for me personally, but we've been called all kinds of names about your race, about your parents, about your kids. So obviously it hasn't slowed us down. Obviously we're going to continue to do what we're supposed to be doing. Obviously we're going to fight the mission like we're supposed to fight the mission, and do everything we can to make the United States a better place to be in. So what you saw at Delaney Hall is an HSI, or Homeland Security Investigations SR team. SRT, they were the lead agency out there during that operation, although ERO was there previously for the first 4 or 5 days before HSI took the lead. But typically SRT in general deal with like criminal warrants. Like for ERO SRT, we would utilize SRT for criminal warrants, knock and announce, being able to go in the house, because it's a criminal warrant versus an administrative warrant.
Can you head over to Jenny's case? She's going to say the address over the text.
So you've been in the detention facilities here at Delaney Hall, correct?
That is correct.
So what gives people on the outside all the speculations, and how do all the rumors get started about the conditions of these facilities?
Well, I think it's just by rumor mill, to be quite honest with you. Obviously the public can't go inside the facility to inspect it. I won't get into the politics of it, obviously. What I will tell you is that inside the Delaney Hall is very well ran. We follow very strict detention standards. Illegal aliens within the facility are fed 3 times a day. They're able to buy commissary. They have medical staff. They have a rec yard. They have a separate rec yard, one for females, one for males. So they're well taken care of there. And to be quite honest with you, some of them are probably been well taken care of more now than they ever have been in their own countries of origin. So to be quite honest, I think people believe what they hear on the media based on whoever's talking, and they run with it, not really realizing that the illegal aliens within Delaney Hall are being treated far better than they would be if they're at home in their own countries without any medical or food and those types of things.
About the target.
Copy, thank you.
Yeah, negative. Who's getting into a charger?
21 Delta.
How often do you guys go up to the door of a suspect, or is it more waiting until they're outside of their house?
It actually varies. It really depends on the team lead of that particular group. Some officers are comfortable and want to go to the door, but 9 times out of 10, more 10 times out of 10, subjects that we're trying to arrest will not come outside. And they know we have administrative warrants. They've been taught those things, and therefore they just look at you and say, I'm not coming out. And so it's far better to arrest them when they're leaving their residence, when they don't know you're sitting outside. But there are officers that will knock on the door and ask to speak to a particular person with their full gear on, police ICE, so they know who you are. You have to announce your ICE, and they won't open the door. They'll look out the window and say, I'm not coming out. And so it forces officers to request a criminal warrant through the United States Attorney's Office, but most often not, they're not issued. So therefore, officers wait outside. It's a, for lack of a better term, a cat and mouse game, so to speak. So we'll wait outside, sometimes hours, and no movement, and then we'll have to come back the next day and attempt it again.
So it depends on what the officer wants to do himself, and then the warrant type of thing as well.
Yeah, so officers, like right now, this is an administrative warrant. So therefore we can only knock on the door and request to come in. They have to give you permission versus a criminal warrant. A criminal warrant, you don't need permission because it's signed by a federal judge saying you can go in and arrest this person. But more often than not, officers would rather wait and effectuate an arrest than knock on the door and have someone just look at you saying they're not coming outside.
Put the trash out.
He's wearing a white shirt, just like black shorts in here. Walking down the sidewalk right now.
No quiet, yeah. Putting out now.
Where's Moon's going?
I'm calling this block. He's running.
Oh, they got him.
Up.
Any injuries? Shoulder all right? Your stomach, your chest? Good to go? Oh, that's not mine. Here, put your knees. One second. Okay, sure. Put your legs together. Ponlo juntos. Okay, we're gonna stand you up, all right? 1, 2, 3.
I got it, yes. What's wrong with you? That's just I know. We got it. ¿Quiere que saque algo? ¿Tiene medicina? Okay, ¿a dónde está?
Vecino, un ratito, por favor, le espero vigilar mi cadena a mi mamá. Colombia. Póngase bien, no, póngase ahí, póngase ahí. Okay, ¿cuál es la llave? ¿Esta llave? Good. You go back this one.
as you notice, this gentleman was originally taking out his garbage when he came out of the house, but eventually walked to his vehicle. At the same time, we were about to, probably depart because it was taking too long for him to come out of the house. These are the type of things that we deal with on a daily basis. Luckily, he came out, threw out his garbage, walked to his vehicle. Our officers approached, identified themselves as police ICE with the appropriate identifiers on their body armor, with body-worn camera footage on. And this particular alien decided to try to flee, and our officers had to do the appropriate action to take him down, effectuate the arrest. And now we are, during that arrest, they ensured that he was medically cleared, asked him if he was hurt, asked him if he had any medication in the house that he needed to take, all the appropriate things that our officers do on a daily basis. And now we're en route back to our processing area to process him and place him into detention. And again, just to be clear, this is an Interpol red notice. He will not know that he is wanted in Peru. This is basically a custody determination on our part, and that's what we're going to inform him. Great job by the officers and crew to effectuate the arrest. And again, this is something that we face daily, Monday through Sunday.
They get the job done?
Get the job done.
I'm getting in on this.
As you're aware, we had 2 targets for today. One was a Interpol red notice for aggravated robbery. The other one was a lawful permanent resident who had crimes for sex acts. We had intel today that both targets would probably leave around the same time, 8:15 in the morning. So we kind of split up the teams to address both of those targets. Fortunately enough, we were able to arrest the lawful permanent resident early, roughly around 7:30 more or less. We weren't able to get to that target, so we sat on the target that we were at, the aggravated the Interpol red notice. Unfortunately, he didn't come out at 8:15 like we had anticipated per intelligence, and we were in the process of leaving, as you are aware. However, right about that time, we noticed the subject come out of his house, throwing away some garbage, and en route to his vehicle. At that time, our officer called out a description of the target, white shirt, black shorts, and approached him when he got closer to his vehicle. We do that because if we would approach him when he was near his house, he would have ran back in his house. So therefore, we try to get him away from the house as far as possible. When we approached this particular subject, this target, he attempted to flee. Our officers obviously did what they're supposed to do. They used the minimum force necessary to make the arrest. He was arrested. He was asked if he had any injuries because they had to take him to the ground, and asked if he had any medication, any of those items that he needed while we transport him to the field office for processing. He said he needed neither one of those things. He didn't need medical attention, nor did he have medication that he needed to have. We transported him to our office for processing, and you were able to witness him being taken out of the vehicle and walked into processing, be processed and placed into detention. I appreciate you guys coming out. If you need anything further, just let us know.
Smash that like and follow button.